Little interesting fact. I hope that's correct. The boss. So let me say this. Bobby Bledsoe was born in southern New Jersey, near Camden. And he ended up at a very young age running with a gang and running with people that were just pretty wild. Got into drugs and alcohol. Began to live a life that was really wild. Ended up in jail. And when he ended up in jail, I mean, this is what he thought his life was meant to be. Got out of jail, and he continued to get locked up here, locked up there, just continued to do crazy stuff. One day, he was in a church. He just, man, I want to try to do something right. Came to church, the pastor preached. At the end of the message, he gave an opportunity for people to come forward. Bobby ran forward. He threw himself at the altar there. He just began to cry. Next thing you know, he felt this call of God on his life. But Bobby experienced a lot of hurt. The drugs and the alcohol. He lost his mother. He lost his father. His sister, who he used to get high with, he watched die of AIDS. And he's at this moment at the church up front crying out to God. And the pastor just spoke into his life and said, God has a call in your life. Bobby leaves that church. He starts to get plugged into that church. He begins to serve there. A couple months go by, and he feels called to go to Bible school in northern Maine. Let me tell you what is in northern Maine. Moose. I'm not kidding you. You drive down the road, there's a sign that says Moose Crossing. I was driving there and I'd be like, what is this? I needed an interpretation for the sign. Come on, somebody. What it meant was moose could cross the street at this place. I didn't know how they knew to cross the street of this place. I said, do you train them to cross the street of this place? They said, no, this is kind of where they might cross. You kind of just got, I said, okay, so it's not an exact route. And so, Bobby goes to northern Maine. And the first day at school, I preached at his school up there. It's very conservative. They wear suits and ties, even the students. And so the first day Bobby gets up there, he only has one suit. And it's the only suit he's got. He gets up and says, I was in a gang in southern New Jersey and I was shooting dope, but Jesus changed my life. He said the president of the college almost rolled on the floor. And the students were like, wow, that's unbelievable. Bobby began to go to school and his grades just were awesome. He was an A and B student. By his senior year, he was voted as his class president. He was leading outreaches, leading different things. He was leading the school at that point. He ended up being a youth pastor after graduating in Baltimore, Maryland. And then several years later, he went back up to Maine because he felt a call of God to go back up there. He contacted me last year and said, I'm called to plant a church in Bangor, Maine, and help people that are messed up. And I said, Bobby, how many people are actually in Bangor, Maine? That's my first question. He said, there's more than you think. I went up there and he was right. And there was a drug epidemic that was sweeping through that place. They were on bath salts and the kids would chew their arm because they weren't right in the head. Bobby started that Hope Home. And next thing you know, from day one, it was completely filled. It's been filled ever since. Bobby had his first preview service last month. 97 people came out to it. 3 people got saved. Bobby calls me afterwards. He said, I'm ready to start the second church. I go, second church, Bobby? It's just a preview service. You got to actually launch the church first. And he goes, Lewiston, Maine, they're calling us. They want our help there. And I go, wow, this is unbelievable. So Bobby has a desire to plant many churches all through Maine. And it'll probably, knowing Bobby Bledsoe, he's going to do 2 this year. I've never actually ever heard of that. And I've been around church planting my whole Christian life. I've never heard of one guy in his first year of planting a church planting the second one the same year. Never heard of it. Let me tell you this. It takes faith to believe for the impossible when everybody's told you you've been an outcast. When everybody told you maybe you were a nobody or a zero. It takes faith to believe in God and trust in Him and watch Him take you and lift you up. Because God is in the elevating business. God wants to lift your life up. He wants you to be more